What is a W-9 form? Why do you need it? Why is it so important? And how to fill W-9 form correctly? Do you want to know the answer to all these questions? Then stay with us till the end of the video. The W-9 form is a taxpayer identification number and certification. It is used to provide the information essential to your client to prepare a 1099 form. Suppose you are self-employed as an independent contractor or freelancer and are doing business with a company. In that case, the company will request you to fill and send them your W-9 form so they can accurately prepare a 1099 form for you. Likewise, if you're hiring independent contractors or freelancers for your business, you will have them fill out a W-9 form first. A W-9 form is only intended for use by the residents of the United States, which means if you're not from the US, you don't have any reason to fill out a W-9 form. A W-9 is also filled out for other reasons, such as real estate transactions, debt cancellations, and acquiring or abandoning a secured property. The W-9 is not mostly filled out for these reasons. However, most of the time the client requesting you to fill out a W-9 form will provide you a blank one to fill it for yourselves. You can also easily download a copy of the W-9 form from the official IRS website. To fill out the W-9 form, you must fill out 5 portions: your name, business, company, name, address, taxpayer, identification number, and the type of business you operate. It's not challenging to fill out the W-9 form as far as other tax paperwork is concerned. Who requires a W-9 form and why do you need to complete it? If you're working with a business, company, or client, they will request you to fill out a W-9 form to pay you legally and without any issues. There's no reason to fill out and submit a W-9 form to the IRS. The person that fills out a W-9 form should keep it safe because he will need it to fill out other forms, such as the 1099 and 1098 forms. It also helps you determine whether federal tax withholding is necessary on each of the transactions you receive. Now, why do you need to fill out a W-9 form? Companies that require you as a contractor or want to make payments to you will likely ask you for a completed W-9 form. Even banks, brokerage firms, and other clients who pay you will require you to give them an already filled W-9 form. The person requesting a W-9 form will use it to collect information about you and determine your taxpayer identification number. If you submit the W-9 form as an individual, your taxpayer identification number is most likely also your social security number. On the other hand, if it is for your business, the taxpayer identification number is your EIN or employer identification number. When should you ask for a W-9 form? If you're a business hiring employees or contractors that you will be paying in the future, you must request them to fill out a W-9 form. If they do not fill out their W-9 forms, you will likely encounter problems in the future. So always ensure that the person you're hiring submits their W-9 forms first. If you don't receive their W-9 forms, you may be required to pay withholding taxes on the amounts that you pay them. How to fill out the W-9 form? Beginning to work as an independent contractor or an employee will require you to fill out some paperwork and documentation to provide necessary personal information to your client. Suppose you are beginning to work as an independent contractor or freelancer. In that case, you do not work with a client or business as an employee, and you work freely based on your leisure time. If you are not an employee and work voluntarily, you'll most likely have your earnings reported on a 1099 NEC form, because of which you will have to fill out a W-9 form. If you are working independently, you will have to fill out a W-9 form. If you are working as an employee, you will have to fill out a W-4 form. Let's look at how to fill out the W-9 form. Row 1. Name. To begin filling out the W-9 form, you must first enter your name in the given row. If submitting the W-9 form as an individual, you should input the name shown on your tax return. If you have changed your name recently without the acknowledgement of the Social Security Administration, then first enter your first name and last name as shown on your Social Security card, then your new last name. Row 2. Business name. If you're filing out your W-9 form for business purposes, you will be required to input information about it in this line. If you don't own a business, this step is entirely optional. Row 3. Federal tax classification. For the third step, depending on the circumstances, you will be required to select the appropriate federal tax classification for the name entered in row 1. You are allowed to check only one box for this step. Various individuals and businesses are allowed to fill out the W-9 form. Suppose you're confused about which box you should check. In that case, you should choose the following options depending on the type of individual or business you relate to. If the company or individual listed in row 1 is a corporation, you should check the corporation box. Suppose an individual or sole proprietorship is LLC owned and disregarded for federal tax purposes. In that case, you should check the individual proprietorship or single member LLC box. If the individual or business is on partnership basis, then you should check the partnership box. If it is a trust estate, check the trust estate box. If an LLC is treated as a partnership or a disregarded entity separate from its owner, owned by another LLC and not regarded for federal tax purposes, check the limited liability company and enter the appropriate tax classification box. Row 4. Exemptions. If you're filing out the W-9 form as an individual, this section is optional. Some businesses are exempted from backup withholding in certain situations and will need to fill out this section. If they apply to your case, you will have to provide a letter code or a number from the instructions representing the reason for making this declaration. However, most businesses will be exempt from backup withholding. The Foreign Account Tax Appliance Act is situated on the second prompt of the exemption lines. Foreign financial institutes must report payments and withhold taxes from payments to their clients that are United States residents. Certain charges are exempted from this and will be required to enter the applicable code from the W-9 form instructions. Row 5 and 6. Address, city, state, and zip code. For the 5th and 6th rows, you must input your address details like your house address, city, state, and zip code, which will help the business to know where to send your 1099 form. Row 7. Account numbers. In this step, you are requested to provide essential account numbers that will prove helpful to the client or business you will be working with. This step is also completely optional and is only required if you need to supply the client or company with the necessary information according to the request of the W-9 form. Part 1. TIN. For this section, you will have to provide your taxpayer identification number, or TIN for short. As an individual, this will also be your social security number. It may also include your employer identification number, or EIN for short, if you are a multi-member LLC, C corporation, or S corporation. Part 2. Certification. This section will require you to sign and input the data on the form, proving and taking responsibility that all the information you have provided thus far is accurate. Usage of the W-9 form. The information you provide on the W-9 form is used to prepare many other forms like 1099, 1099 MISC, 1099 NEC, 1099 DIV, 1099 INT. Always ensure that the information you provide on the W-9 form is accurate and true to prevent future problems related to the W-9 form. Every U.S. citizen is recommended to fill out this form. That's all for today, folks. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.